Hello and welcome to The Critique. Today we're looking at a video script from Salas Fox. This will find you before it suddenly happens, which is all about the intuitive signs of a big life change and that feeling of being in the void.
Okay, let's dive right in. The first thing that jumps out is that the script, it kind of relies on this circular narrative structure. It keeps reiterating the feeling of discomfort, but, without really moving the listener forward on a clear journey.
Right, it feels like it's looping. You hear about the restlessness, the irritation, that whole falling apart feeling.
Over and over.
And it circles back again and again. I mean, I get it. It mimics the actual feeling of being stuck in that rut.
But I'm not sure that's the best way to structure a script that's supposed to, guide you out of it. That's the tension right there. The writer does a really beautiful job of validating the listener's feeling.
Absolutely.
But there's a risk that focusing so much on validation actually makes the listener check out. By the middle of the script, we're still hearing about how things are unraveling.
Yeah, and if I'm the listener and I'm in crisis, I've already bought in. I know I'm in pain.
Exactly. You don't need 5 more minutes telling you you're hurting. You need to know what's next. Where do I go from here?
So the repetition starts as a comfort, like, oh, they see me, but it can become stagnant. You're left waiting for the therefore that just isn't coming fast enough.
So how do you fix a loop like that without losing that really important empathetic tone?
Well, I think you have to restructure it, make it more of a linear arc.
I was thinking a Synthen diagnosis prescription model. It gives you forward momentum, you stop swirling around the problem, and you start climbing towards a solution.
Okay, I like that, but let's break that down. What goes where? Because right now the symptoms are kind of all over the place. Sleep patterns here, hobbies there.
Right. It feels like a laundry list that never ends. So we group them. All the physical stuff, the social stuff, the sleep changes, getting irritated with your friends, the wild dreams. You put all that into a focused, the signs section at the very beginning.
You build the case.
You build the case. You pile up the evidence so high that in the first 3 minutes, the listener has no choice but to say, okay, yep, that's me. You got me.
And once you have their buy-in, then you can pivot. Because the script has these amazing metaphysical ideas. The frequency changes, the collapsing star metaphor.
Yes, but they're mixed in with the symptoms right now.
Exactly.
So you strip those out and you move them into a clear middle section. Let's call it the why. This separates the feeling of what's happening from the explanation of what's happening.
So you honor the pain first, then you explain the physics behind the pain.
Exactly. It respects the listener. And then I assume you end with the how.
That has to be last. All the actionable stuff, craving solitude, trusting your body, being patient, you save that for a clear, climactic final section. It turns the whole thing into a real journey.
But you need better transitions for that to work. You can't just leap from your friends are annoying you to you are a collapsing star.
No.
You need to use signposting. The narrator has to guide the listener. Something as simple as, now that we recognize the signs, let's look at the physics of why this is happening.
It's like giving them a map, so they know they're not just lost in the woods of their feelings anymore. They're on a path.
Right, and that solves the pacing. But even with a good map, I think some of the landmarks are a bit
fuzzy.
You mean the language? The high-level spiritual talk?
That brings us to our second point. The script is brilliant at this evocative, spiritual language, but it lacks specific, grounded scenarios that actually anchor these big ideas in daily life.
Yeah, you see phrases like frequency is changing, or energetically wrong, or rewiring, and it's poetic for sure.
It is. But if I'm just a normal person driving to my job, I'm thinking, okay, my frequency is changing, but why does my coffee taste awful today?
That's the jargon trap, isn't it? It describes the mechanism, but not the actual experience. New realities being born sounds huge and powerful, but it's vague.
The listener has to do all the work to picture it.
We need to swap some of those broad metaphors for specific, tangible, slice-of-life scenes. We need to show it, not just talk about it.
Okay, so take the part about relationships feeling suffocated. That's an adjective. It's not a scene. How do you make that tangible?
You put us in the room. Don't say it feels suffocating. Describe sitting at dinner with your oldest friends, hearing the same old jokes you used to love, and suddenly realizing you have nothing to say.
Oh.
You're just watching a rerun of your own life while everyone else is still enjoying them.
That hits so much harder because it's a real social moment. It's not energy. It's the awkward silence at the dinner table.
What about the job part? The script says a job can feel unbearable.
Again, unbearable is just a summary. We want the feeling in the body.
The visceral sensation.
Yes. Describe the physical nausea you feel when you open your laptop on a Tuesday morning, even when nothing bad has happened. The inbox is fine, the boss isn't mad, but your body is just rejecting the entire situation.
That validates the physical experience in a way unbearable just can't. Okay, what about synchronicities? The script mentions seeing 11.11, which I have to say feels a bit played out.
It is. It's a cliche, and it's easy for a skeptical listener to just dismiss it.
So what's the alternative? You make it a narrative coincidence. Instead of seeing numbers, describe hearing a really specific, kind of obscure phrase in a podcast, then seeing that same phrase on a billboard, and then hearing a stranger say it in a coffee shop all in the same day.
That paints a picture of a pattern emerging. It moves the script from a sermon into a story.
Right. It gives the listener data, the dinner, the nausea, the billboard, and lets them be the one to conclude, oh, my frequency is changing.
It empowers them to make the diagnosis themselves, which is so much more powerful.
Exactly.
Speaking of empowerment, though, let's talk about the advice. Because the script tells the listener what to do, but I'm not sure it's actually helpful.
Right. So the actionable advice it gives, surrender, trust, allow, it's all very passive. And I think it risks leaving the listener feeling kind of helpless.
Surrender is such a tricky word. I mean, in a spiritual context, it makes sense. But if my actual life is falling apart, my job, my marriage, and someone tells me to just surrender, it feels...
dismissive.
Yeah, it's like telling a drowning person to just relax and enjoy the water.
It's so frustratingly intangible. The sentiment is right, of course. Fighting the current just exhausts you, but there's no active mechanism there. When you're in a panic, you need to do something. You need a verb that isn't just wait.
So how do we keep the spiritual core of surrender but make it active?
We reframe it. We turn surrender into a set of specific, intentional activity. We turn these passive ideas into active rituals.
Okay, I like that.
So take the part about craving solitude. The script treats it like a symptom to just accept. Let's make it a deliberate practice instead.
So instead of just saying your need for quiet, you give them an actual assignment, like a 24-hour sensory detox.
Exactly. Tell them to cut out all external input. No phone, no music, no podcasts, no other people's opinions for one full day. The goal is to actually hear that authentic voice the text is talking about.
So now, being alone isn't just something that's happening to you. It's a rigorous exercise you're choosing to do.
It gives the ego a job while the soul does its work.
I love that. What about trusting the body? The script says the body knows where you're going before your mind does, which is beautiful, but how do I use that to make a choice?
You turn that philosophy into a technique. Suggest a somatic check. Tell the listener when an opportunity comes up, before you think about it, check your gut. Literally, does your stomach drop or does it expand and feel light?
That's a tool. I can do that. It's physical.
Precisely. And for the part about stop treating your life like a problem, we can offer a reframing exercise.
Like a journal prompt?
Yeah. Write down 3 things that feel like losses, right? Relationship, a job, whatever. Now, next to each one, write what space that loss has just created in your life.
Oh, that's good. That forces your brain to engage with the idea of the void in a practical way. It turns the scary emptiness into an asset, a blank page.
It changes the listener from a victim of the shift into a participant. You can't just tell people to let go. You have to show them how to open their hand.
Okay, so that brings us to the final piece of this puzzle. We've fixed the structure, we've grounded the language, we've activated the advice, but we still have to deal with everyone else, the people around the listener.
And this is where the script gets a little thorny, I think. It creates a dynamic that feels a bit adversarial between the listener, this awakening person, and their social circle.
I noticed that too. There are all those phrases like, most people around you can't see what's happening, or they assume you're depressed.
Or transformation looks like chaos to the unaware.
Right. And it creates an us versus them thing. The danger is that in trying to validate the listener, we accidentally feed into this lonely genius trope. Where the listener starts to feel superior to everyone, but also completely misunderstood. And that just isolates them more.
But isn't there some truth to it? I mean, if you're going through a massive internal change, people around you often don't get it. They do think you're acting. If we take that out, are we sort of gaslighting the listener?
We don't deny the experience of disconnection. We just change the framing around it.
Okay.
So instead of framing other people as blind or as asleep, which sounds really judgmental.
Yeah, it does.
We frame it as a language barrier.
Oh, that's a much softer way to put it. So you're not more evolved than them. You're just speaking a different dialect they haven't learned yet.
Exactly. You could rewrite that section to say something like,
You're learning a new internal language that they don't speak yet. It's not their fault they can't understand you, but it's also not your job to translate for them right now.
That takes all the malice out of it. It's not that my friends are bad for not getting it. They just literally can't process the data I'm receiving. That protects the listener's energy without making their loved ones into villains.
And we need to apply that same idea to the relationships that are actually ending. The script says some relationships weren't built for where you're going, which is true, but it can sound so dismissive of the past.
Yeah, like those people are just dead weight. It treats them like rocket boosters. You just jettison when you don't need them anymore.
It needs some closure, some grace.
I think we should add a moment of gratitude there. Suggest that the listener actively thank those relationships for getting them to this point, even if they can't cross the threshold with them.
Thank the bridge for getting you across the water, even if you have to step off it to reach the other side.
Oh, that's beautiful. It allows the listener to leave with a full heart instead of a resentful one. And it aligns better with the whole theme of spiritual growth.
Right. Real growth should involve more compassion, not less.
If the script is about reaching a higher consciousness, the tone has to reflect that. You can't claim enlightenment while you're looking down on everybody else.
Okay, we have covered a lot of ground. Let's try to wrap this up neatly for Soulless Fox. We started with the narrative architecture.
Right. Break the loop. Move from that circular repetition to a clear, linear arc. Signs, why, and how. And use signposting to guide the listener through it.
Then we hit the vocabulary.
We need to pull the script down from the clouds. Replace the vague, abstract terms with concrete, visceral examples. The silent dinner, the nausea at the laptop. Show the shift, don't just lecture about it.
And then the advice. Shifting it from passive to active.
Don't just preach surrender. Give them tools. The sensory detox, the somatic check-in, the loss versus space exercise. Give them a sense of agency when they feel chaotic.
And finally, that relational dynamic.
Soften the us versus them tone. Swap judgment for the language barrier metaphor and add gratitude for the relationships that are in. The goal is to reduce isolation, not increase.
Solace, the core of the script is so potent. I mean, the insights about the void and the collapsing star, those are genuinely beautiful, powerful images. We're not trying to change the core message at all.
Not at all. We just want to clear away some of the fog so that signal can hit the listener with maximum impact.
Absolutely. I would really encourage you to take these ideas and use them to reorganize the script, almost like the script itself is going through its own transformation.
It's a parallel process for sure.
We would love to see how this piece evolves. So please, once you've had a chance to rework it, submit the revised draft for a follow-up.
I'm really looking forward to reading it.
Thanks for listening to The Critique. We'll see you next time.